everyone. So this is my very first YouTube video and I'm so excited to share with you the top 5 mistakes that I made during my airline pilot journey. It has been a crazy adventure becoming an airline pilot. I'm currently a captain at a major airline and I'm so happy to say that. Before we can talk about the 5 mistakes I made, it's probably important that you know my journey in general, right? So real quick, we're going to go over some of the stages that I took. That way, if you're thinking about going through these different paths in life, you can see maybe where you either should reconsider or figure out another opportunity or option, because opportunities are so different than when I first started. But let's get into it. I started flying when I was 15 years old and it was amazing. It was just something I love to do. It was something I've always continued to do and I have not stopped flying ever since. However, my family was not built for this. There was a lot of financial hurdles that we had to come over. I graduated in 2009 and the recession and all that stuff was happening. So when I say we did not have the money, we did not have the finances, we did not have anything that you would think an airline pilot would need to get started. So if you're at this point in your career or in your journey and saying, I don't have the money, how do I start this? I was there and I was at a position before that the money wasn't as readily available because it was during the recession. When I started as a high schooler flying, I was at a local flight school out here in Atlanta that helped focus on minority kids being exposed to aviation and actually had a weekend academy to teach kids how to fly. And it was just so fun to start like doing something that you loved and you enjoyed when you were a kid, regardless of how much it costs to finish or how much we're going to end up making money. I didn't even know how much I was going to make when I first started. I just loved to fly. I went to college to do flight training and it was a great decision on that part. Started flying there, still didn't have the finances, but figured out a way, whether it was nickel and diming, working 3 jobs at one point. I was also very heavily involved in school. So there were some scholarships that I were able to get, but that's how I afforded flight training. However, it did not allow me to finish flight training. So I ended up graduating Middle Georgia without my commercial pilot's license. I was only 3 hours away from my commercial and I had to stop flight training. I said, okay, I'm going to come back once I have the money to fly. It was a struggle. I thought I was going to finish flight training. I thought I was going to do all this stuff. It did not happen like that. And sometimes that happens, right? And I'm seeing all my friends go and soar and all of that great stuff. And it's just like, oh, this is awesome, but this is not my story. So it was a little disheartening, but I continued to move on. I had a lot of different jobs to try and raise money for flight training, but also just to live and sustain my life. And I ended up becoming a flight attendant at one point in time. And I figured, well, if I can't be in the flight deck, at least I'll be close to flying. And through that process, I found out about an internship that ended up paying for the rest of my flight training. And that's a whole nother story for a whole nother video, but it paid for my flight training and it got the job done, right? So I became a certified flight instructor for a flight school out here in Atlanta. If any part of this that I'm talking about, you want more details, please let me know, because the more that I talk about it, it's a longer story that I could put in a short clip on a YouTube, but let me know in the comments below if you want more details about any part of this. But I was a flight instructor and I used to teach students in the Atlanta area. A lot of them came from international schools and it was really fun. I got to learn a lot about myself, about teaching patience in the flight deck that I still use to this day, which is super awesome. But at some point in my career, I was like, okay, well, I need multi-engine time. If you don't know what multi-engine time is, it is an airplane that has 2 engines instead of 1. I had all of my licenses, but I did not have enough multi-time to get hired at a commercial airline. So my main thing was, how can I get more multi-time to become an airline pilot, right? How can I get more of that dual engine time to become an airline pilot? I found a job and I flew out to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and it was for Freightrunners Express. And I flew out there and thought like, oh, this is it. I'm flying a King Air, I'm flying a Queen Air, flying a Beech 99. This is awesome. I'm going to get my multi-time. It's turbine time. If any of these words aren't making sense, you can go ahead and Google them or you can ask me in the comments below and I can make a video on all of this. I'm like, this is great. So I jumped and I went and I got multi-time from this airline, right? Thought it was the best thing ever. 3 months later, I got furloughed. With that being said, I had another job lined up at a company called Cape Air. So it was another multi-engine job, but it wasn't turbine. But it's okay, because all I needed was multi-engine time. So I said, oh, let me go ahead and go there. So here I am now making another move within 4 months of me leaving my CFI job. Now, I could have become a multi-engine instructor. I could have gotten multi-engine other ways, but I was like, what's the way I can get the most and how can I do it the fastest, right? So I did that. After I became a multi-pilot for Cape Air, I got the time and then I eventually became an airline pilot. I became an airline pilot in 2016. I was 25 years old and it was a dream come true. I would have never thought that just a lot of perseverance, a lot of issues, a lot of crying, a lot of screaming, a lot of kicking at this point. Like there was nothing that's written in my history books that would have said, you deserve to be here and you're going to figure it out. But I did it, right? So I was an airline pilot at 25 at Endeavor Air and it was like the best thing. I was so excited to be there. And 2 short years later, I became a captain. So it was an awesome experience. Granted, there's a lot of things that go in between there, a lot of life that happens, but it just overall, Endeavor was such a great experience for me. And shortly after that, I got hired at my major airline that I'm at now. And it's been still an awesome experience, even though COVID happened right during 2020, which is also the year I got hired. So again, another story for another video. I'm happy to say I'm now a captain here so many years later, and it's been great. 5 things that I would do different in my career. One of them is I will look for more opportunities, such as scholarships or different opportunities for internships and things like that, and actually apply for them. Because even though there wasn't as many that existed back when I was going through, there was enough. There was enough. And what I did was I made the decision for myself, and I was like, oh, well, all these scholarships are available, but they're not available at maybe the time that I wanted it. Or I was like, oh, this money is going to take too long to come, and I need the money today. Well, guess what? Your career or your flight training is going to take way longer than just today or a couple months. So if you apply for a scholarship, any money coming at any time is a good thing. I allowed my right now problems to become my long-term issues, which is not what you want to do at all. So I would definitely apply and look up all the scholarships for flight training or just for training, period. Number 2 of what I would do different is I would not compare myself to others. Now, I say this now a lot easier than what I did back then, but everyone that you're currently in school with or everyone that you're currently starting this journey with, or even me, we all are different and we've had different things to either align or not align in our lives to either start or stop this journey. With that being said, your journey is yours. I wouldn't be here having this conversation with you if I didn't have my journey. My journey can't be my friend that I started training with at 16, that became an airline pilot at 23 and then became a captain at 25. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Whenever you start is what's meant for you, and whenever you experience is what's meant for you as well. So just don't forget that. That's one of the biggest mistakes that I made, was comparing myself to others and thinking that we're supposed to have the same story and that I was doing something wrong. You're not doing anything wrong. You're learning and doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing. So continue to do that. Number 3, jumping jobs. So I told you that I had those different careers at one point, just trying to get multi-time, trying to do all those things. And was getting multi-time the wrong thing to do? Absolutely not. But what I will say is comparing where you currently are with the amount of time training is going to take place. Let me explain that. So for example, you have option A. You're currently a CFI. You're getting about 80 hours a month, and it's a job that's not flight instructing, and it takes you 3 months to complete training. It's going to take you 3 months to complete this job. You don't know what this job has to offer or what it entails. If you're good and you're just like, I just want to try something else, it's not worth taking a 3-month or so risk to do training here and take a longer time to reach your goals than to just stick it out with this option and possibly be good to go. So if you're truly not happy, then leave it. The industry is whatever you make it. So if you're just like, oh, well, regardless if I get 1,500 hours, it's still going to take me a year to get hired, then go for it. Whatever you want to try to do to expand your career or expand your life, it just all depends on you. But I would definitely consider that. If you're at a point where, you could get hired very quickly and one is going to take you longer than the other, just compare, because apples are not oranges. And, I didn't do a lot of that. And I wish I would have done that a lot more before changing jobs. Number 4, I would not let my CFI expire. Oh my gosh, my flight instructor license expired when I was an airline pilot here at my main line. And I cannot believe I let that happen, because people tell you all the time, no, let it happen. I'm sure this is not the first time that you've heard it, but I am here to reiterate that fact, because COVID happened right when I needed it the most. And I let it expire. It was a complete accident, but life got in the way and I just totally forgot. It was literally the next day of the next month. And I was like, oh my gosh, I let it lapse and there was nothing I could do about it. So definitely be on your CFI. Make sure that you don't let it lapse. Also, remember, you can do your CFI training 3 months prior to your expiration date. Just get on it, get it done. Don't procrastinate, and don't let life take you away from keeping that CFI renewed. The last thing that I will say that I would do differently, which is number 5, I would not let other people's opinions be louder than my own. Okay? I became a captain at my airline. There was a lot of noise happening. There was a lot of judgment happening based on people that are young or people that are whatever else being on this certain airplane. They're not ready. They're not this. They're not that. At the time that I became a captain at my airline, I'm sorry, there's like sirens going on, but we're going to ignore that. At the time I became a captain at my airline, I had already been a captain for about 6 years. And for some reason, I allowed that experience to be less loud than the people that were either trying to degrade me or saying that I shouldn't be a captain at all, or saying that people of my background or my age group should not be a captain. I've been a captain before. Why was I questioning myself? When I tell you that other people's opinions should not be louder than your own, just make sure that whatever you're doing, you do it from here. When I tell you the best thing I've done was go ahead and just doing it anyway, I'm the happiest that I have ever been or ever thought I would be. You know what's right for you and you know what you're meant to do. So at the end of the day, continue to be great, continue to be sure of yourself, and continue to show up, because that's all that's required. So if you learned anything from this video, please like below. If you learned 3 things from this video, please subscribe for more. And if you are interested in any of the items that I'm currently wearing, look at the caption below because all of the links are inside. Thank you again for joining me. It is my first video. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I can't wait to see you on the next one.